Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Authors. I'm Carrie Severson, the CEO of Unapologetic Voice House. I'm here with one of our new published authors, Sharon DiRusso. Welcome,
Hello,
Sharon.
everyone. Hi.
So why don't we start by tell the listeners about your book. What is the title of it?
The title of the book is Perfect7 Daily Salads, an anti-inflammatory diet, an anti-inflammatory diet program for women over 45 who struggle with inflammation. It is a book geared toward women at this age because we're generally entering menopause and we tend to notice changes in our body that we do not expect to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I wrote the book because I configured a system that works for women to help reduce some of those symptoms because they can be quite annoying.
Mhm. Okay. And the book is beautifully laid out. I love the cover. And what I was really fascinated about is you created the book based on your personal experience of inflammation and arthritis, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I was, turning 49, and I noticed that I was having some bone issues, and it was really perplexing to me, and I didn't understand what was happening. And it seemed to occur around a certain thing that I was doing, and I didn't realize it. But these pains kept traveling through my body. It started in my shoulder. Um, and it traveled down my arms, it went to my knees. But just as it was traveling, just before it was traveling, I noticed that one particular area kept bothering me over and over. So I went and had an MRI. And it turned out that I had a nice cyst right in that shoulder, just sitting there. And every time I drank something sweet or ate something sugary, it would just flare up. And so I tried everything under the sun to try to get it to reduce, and nothing worked. My doctor wanted to put me on medication and try some physical therapy, but I don't really particularly care for medication, so I tried a different avenue. And this avenue led me nowhere. I went on to a lot of the anti-inflammatory diet websites looking for food options, what I could do naturally. I'm not into CBD, unfortunately. I wish I was. I wish it was one of those things that worked for me, but it does not. So I was really scrambling to try to find what did work. And I was online one day and I came across this one thing, and it completely changed my research. And so that led me down a different path completely, looking at things like National Institutes of Health, National Cancer, other scientists and doctors who have studied this, but that it's not really a popular thing. So I really decided to dive into it and see if it really worked. I literally went to the store, I got it, I tried it as soon as I got home, and immediate effects. And I was just shocked by that. So I kept doing it, and this sort of program developed where when I did this on several times a day, every day, but it allowed me to still be able to eat the foods that I like to eat. It did take a while for my body to adjust. I'm not going to lie, this is a process that's an ongoing thing. And once you incorporate this into your life, once you incorporate this into your diet, it changes almost the structure of your cells. It's amazing. And it's natural. And it's something we can get anywhere. So, yeah.
Then you talk all about it in this book.
I do. And the book covers how I got here. The book covers my whole experience with the MRI, discussions with my doctor, and then it goes into how other people, just sort of on an eavesdropping type of thing, listening to other people's conversations about how they deal with their inflammation, how they have night sweats, how they have hip pain. And I'm also a registered MRI technologist, and that kind of funny, ironically, I never put it together that I would ever need an MRI or I would never have issues with inflammation until I did. And, here I am almost 50 years old needing an MRI, not knowing why, in a field where I see inflammation all the time. So I know what it looks like and from other people heard what it felt like, but I didn't put the correlation together that it was affecting me the same way. And so once I did that and I found this system, I said, other women need to know about it because it's not popular. And so I decided to write the book. And there's a whole chapter about how to incorporate these foods.
Yeah. And you have case studies in here. I'm looking at it right now on Apple Books. So you have studies in here, and a number of resources. Yeah, the MRI.
Yeah, there's a number of resources. Yeah. And one of the mottos I like to say that my husband actually coined the phrase of is feeling is believing, because when we wake up in the morning and our feet hit the floor and they're aching already, or when we go to bed and we have the night sweats and we're like, why is this happening to me? I wake up in the middle of the night with my shoulder on fire, or my knees are bothering me, or my feet hurt. You wake up in the morning, again, feet hit the floor, over and over. Once you incorporate these foods into your regular daily diet, you start to feel the difference, and you feel, and then you believe that this is working, because they're actually, these nutrients from these foods are actually getting into the cells of our body. And that's where the science part comes in. That is what solidified this whole thing for me, was that people have written books about these particular chemical compounds that are in these foods that are not popular. On the mainstream, I should say. However, it's worth it to give it a try.
Yeah, I love it. I'm reading it right now and I'm like, what should I go get?
Right? There's a whole list. There is a whole list, and this is the base. The foods that I mentioned here is really the base of any salad, any group of veggies that you put together, whether it's a handful that you eat at a time, if you just snack on these particular vegetables, raw as they are, one at a time. I mean, it is, raw is the key to these veggies. Cooking lightly sauteed works. However, crunching on them right out of the bag is more of an immediate effect, believe it or not. It's like when we eat something with sugar in it, that sugar immediately goes into our bloodstream.
Yeah.
This immediately gets into the bloodstream and has a whole different effect. It has a completely opposite benefit, which is great.
So one of the things that I'm going to ask, that I haven't asked you this before, but like some of the, can we talk about some of the foods and all that are in here? Or do you want
Absolutely.
to? Okay. So like, so you list a lot of these greens that the salads are based on.
Yes.
So for someone like me, I'm going to look at that and I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to be like, I have to get all of these. I have to get the collard greens and the cabbage and all of it. But that's not the case. I mean, I eat romaine.
It's not the case.
I can't do kale. Kale actually makes me feel worse.
Right. Kale is not one of the best foods to have. And I explained that in the book, that although kale is an option, I kept it in the book because it is popular to most people. And some people are like, I love my kale, I cannot give it up. So I said, okay, but here's what you need to be aware of with kale. It also has what's called oxalates. Spinach, kale, and a whole host of other popular vegetables have this oxalates in it. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's a natural occurring thing. You can't cook them out. There's no amount of flame that's going to get rid of them. So when you put them into your body, it's blocking the digestion of other nutrients, other very important nutrients, such as calcium. Calcium is a #1 factor. The other thing I talk about in the book is this thing called glucosinolates. And glucosinolates is what lights me up. I love talking about them because this chemical compound includes 2 other chemical compounds. One is myrosinase or myrosinase, depending on how you say it. And the other is isothiocyanates. And isothiocyanates is the magic. And it only occurs when you chew, break, or cut up the leaves and eat them. So that mastication that our mouth does for these foods releases these chemical compounds, and it's immediate into the bloodstream, immediate. And so I put collard greens as the #1 green, because if there's anything on this thing you don't like, collard greens is the only thing that you should try and eat on a regular basis, if nothing else.
Hate it, just get it down.
Yeah, right. And the good thing is, These particular vegetables require a high fat. You have to have a really good quality high fat. My thing is, go to the store and get your favorite salad dressing. It doesn't have to be anything. As long as it's low sugar, high fat, I recommend a creamy salad dressing of any kind, other than Thousand Island and other than French, because those are the two highest sugar salad dressings out there. But any creamy salad dressing will do the job. Dip that collard green in there and just eat away. And I found that when you do this in a particular order throughout the day, while you're sleeping, your body processes the foods that you've eaten throughout the day, sometimes even processing the foods that you've eaten the day before. And that's kind of the tricky thing, because we love a good hot dog in the summertime, right? But that hot dog might be sitting there for a couple of days, because the body, in my view, is trying to find the nutrients from it. It's trying to find where those chemical compounds are that it really needs for the body, and it's not finding it. So it's trying to digest it and put it where it belongs. But if you were to have that hot dog, and then you would have that collard green salad or a handful of collard greens, those collard green chemical compounds are going to push through that hot dog that you've eaten. And it's going to make way for your body to actually do something with those nutrients. So it's really beneficial.
So what about the title, Perfect7 Daily Salads? So you have, do you really eat 7 salads a day?
So in the beginning, absolutely yes. And here's the reason why I ate 7 salads a day. Once I tried that handful of collard greens, when I came back from the store, tried that handful, I said, this is really working. I was like, I wonder what would happen if I had this at noon, at lunch. Like, would it have the same effect? Same effect. Dinner time, same effect. But what I wanted to do was still eat my dinner with my husband and my daughter and still have my foods and eat normal. So what I did was I would take the collard green salad and have that after dinner. So that was kind of the last meal that I would eat. So 7 salads came from, and here's the magic, people. You take a handful of collard greens before you eat your breakfast. You eat your breakfast, whatever it is, eggs, bacon, toast, French toast, whatever it is that you like. Then after that breakfast, handful of collards. Lunchtime, same thing. Before you eat your lunch, if it's pizza, you go out for a burger, you go out, for whatever, a cocktail with friends, before and after. Dinner, same thing, before and after. So then we have 6. But to get to 7, what I would do is take a little collard green salad. It would be the last thing that I ate. So let's say I wanted to enjoy a bowl of ice cream before I ate my collard green salad. Bowl of ice cream, down, done. Not that I eat ice cream anymore, because I do not. I'm 53 and I don't eat ice cream as much as I used to. But after having that ice cream, or a piece of cake or whatever, I would have that collard green salad. So those 7 salads throughout the day. So when it gets into the body, it's now combating with the sugar and the starch and all the foods that you've eaten all day, but the chemical compounds are going to win. And that's the beauty. So you wake up and you don't feel like the aches and the pains so over time, it takes time for the body to get used to it. Everybody's different. So however their body processes these compounds, it works for them.
Wow.
So I really geared this book toward people who are serious about reducing inflammation. These are people who, when they wake up or they're in the middle of the night and they're in pain and they're like suffering from this discomfort, these greens have this benefit. I was even at one point making it into a shake, putting it next to my bed so that if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would take a drink and I'd be able to get right back to sleep.
Interesting. I love it. Okay, so in the book, she does give you recipes.
Yes, there are recipes. They are not normal recipes. They are based on these cruciferous vegetables. So eaten in basically a raw form, but there are some saute options. So the goal, though, is to have them in a raw form. That really is the best way to go about it in a salad.
Okay, so the one thing, raw vegetables sometimes do bloat, especially like Brussels sprouts. They sometimes do bloat people.
They do. Do you know why we bloat?
No.
Because of the gases, right, that are formed. So it's combating, again, with what's going on in our gut, right? So it is trying to collect all the bad. It's trying to collect everything that's in that gut. Because remember, we eat on a daily basis. Even when we're fasting and we're, spacing out our foods, that's a great way to go. But what you next eat, regardless of whether you're fasting or not, what you eat next will stay in your system. It's going to stay in your gut because, again, your body is trying to digest nutrients from it that aren't there typically. So when a thing like Brussels sprouts comes along and it's bloating you, it's making you feel, it's actually collecting. It's collecting so that when you have the next thing, this is in my view, this is not like scientific evidence. This is my personal view on the bloating, because I went through that whole bloating process when I was eating the collard greens, and I was going through. Once your body recognizes these foods and pushes out the bad, it kind of like goes, and your gut feels like, oh, I can recognize these foods now. I can recognize what I'm getting. Whereas these other foods bloat you.
Yeah.
So it's the Brussels sprouts taking over what's already in there.
Exciting. I'm so excited. So here you have this book out right now. It's on an e-form, sold everywhere you can get an e-reader or an e-book.
Yes.
And then share where people can connect with you.
So I am at Perfect7Daily Salads.com. I am on Instagram under the same name. I also have a new one, Foods Over 50, that I'm trying to gear towards the 50 plus so that they can also recognize these vegetables and what they do. Remember though, that the goal is to eat them raw in a salad, and keeping it daily will help your body to adjust to these nutrients that are so crucial to keeping inflammation down, especially when we're on a diet that might not be so friendly to our body.
Yeah. And then what about your Facebook group?
So Facebook group, I have a 6-week anti-inflammatory diet program for women over 45. And I also have an anti-inflammatory, program group. That one's private. You would go through the website to get to the private Facebook group. And then there is one that's public, open, called the 6-week anti-inflammatory diet program.
Cool.
Good too.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will we'll tag all sorts of things in the description all over the place. If you are experiencing inflammation in your body, you suffer from an autoimmune disorder, this book is
arthritis,
for you.
yeah, bone issues, bone health, yeah. This is really the way to go. I can't stress enough that when you follow the program accordingly, it does take a certain mindset. It does take a little bit of practice. I am here for you for that regard. But when you follow this program, read the book, follow the book, and you'll be on your way to just reduced inflammation. It's amazing. I mean, I can actually bend my arms and move my shoulders and things that I couldn't do before. So yeah, it's great.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and hope you have a beautiful day.